deeds and glorify your heavenly Father. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I'd like to start out with a story this morning. The year is the 1630s and the place is Japan. 84 years earlier, St. Francis Xavier in 1549 first went to the island to share the gospel message, and thus began the Catholic mission to Japan that was very fruitful for many years. But then they started to be persecuted. There was a violent repression of Catholicism in Japan, and a lot of people were martyred. They were put to death for their faith, and the rest of the foreign missionaries were expelled from the land. But not everyone was rounded up, and there was at least one who stayed behind. And so there was this Augustinian priest who was not kicked out. He was not found out about, so he stayed behind. And his cover, what he did in the meantime was he was a vendor of chestnuts, which I guess you have to do something if you need a job. And so one day he's doing his job selling the chestnuts, and he tells the person in front of him the price, and the guy doesn't like it, so he slaps him across the face. And the priest receives this insult without any emotion and continues on with his job. And at that point, the Japanese realize this is a level of meekness, a level of virtue that is not seen among the ordinary run of people. And so they suspected him of being a covert missionary. They arrested him, and he confessed to who he was, and they martyred him. Unfortunately, never found out this guy's name. The book I was reading didn't include it. But he's a great example of what Jesus said in the gospel today. Your light should shine before men so that they may see your good deeds and glorify your heavenly Father. So the question that I want us to think about today is, if you met somebody new, would they discover that you are a Christian, that you are a Catholic? How long would it take? Would they ever figure it out based on your actions, based on your words? Our lives preach louder than our words. We need to do both, of course, but we need to have a life that is expressive of our faith. And the word that we're looking for here is integrity. Our faith should permeate all of our life. It shouldn't just be something that's sectioned off. It should be a part of everything. We have what's called the Code of Canon Law, and one of the canons says that the Christian faithful are always obliged to maintain communion with the church. And the key word there is always, not just like on Sunday mornings, not just when we feel like it, not just at home, but maybe not at work or maybe not at school, but always. And it's only in this way that we can be the light to the world that Jesus called us to be. It's very important that we strive to do so. And it's St. Paul mentioned something very similar. He said that we are to live as children of God, like shining lights in the world in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation. And so we can think that if we are living up to our vocation as Christians, we are like stars in the night sky, in which it helps people find their way home. Somebody might object, doesn't Jesus teach that we should not do our deeds before others? And that's also true. Here in 10 days or so, when we celebrate Ash Wednesday, that's the reading we have every time, where it says, if you're fasting, wash your face. If you're giving alms, do it in secret. So which is it? Are we supposed to do our good works that people may see it, or hide them so other people may not see them? It's both. And we have to read closely at what Jesus says. It comes down to our intention. If we're doing good things just so that people notice, just so that we may be praised and thought well of, that's not good. But if our good deeds benefit others, by them seeing us do it. Or if it glorifies God, then we ought to do it. That's the difference. It comes down to our intention and how we do it. And if all of us in this parish, lived up to our vocation, we can imagine what kind of effect that would have on our community. We think about St. Paul, just one person, and the great effect that he had on so many others, and how he drew many people to the knowledge of God. And it could be the same if we all act as salt of the earth and light of the world, if we have integrity and follow what Christ asks of us, if we give our witness as we should in integrity of life.